pleasant dreams.
Welcome again to Unexplained Mysteries. I'm Ken Small, your host, and today we're going to take a very strange approach. Most people only appreciate the light after they embrace the darkness. And I want to talk about nightmares. I really avoided this subject because it's too bizarre, but in my travels, city after city and program after program, people come up to me and say they've had incubus, succubus, and mirror experiences. They're just too embarrassed to tell their friends, their parents, wife, husband, even pastors. So I've made a collection, and Brad Steger, another researcher, and I'd like to share some of these stories with you. But first, let me give you a backdrop so you know what I'm really talking about. The first prayer you probably heard was, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." Now, why do we teach our children to pray for God to take their souls if they die in their sleep? Far from a child's prayer, it's a very serious one, and every person listening to this program really needs to take heed to. We're concerned about ourselves dying in our sleep. In other words, God, I got to go to sleep tonight, and I may not make it. Should demons kill me, please take my soul. I'll give you a few little scriptural backdrops first. In the book of Job, the 4th chapter, 12th verse, "Now the word was secretly brought to me, and my ear received a whisper of it, disquieting thoughts from visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on men. Fear came upon me, and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hairs of my body stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern its appearance. It was a form before my eyes." In fact, in Ephesians 6:12, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, rulers of darkness, and spiritual wickedness in high places. The problem with this world, a person can get a spiritual parasite and commit murder. The law may execute him, but spirits don't die. They simply pull back to the nether world and find another unprotected soul and attach what we call possessed that person. And another murderer, rapist, child molester, etc. is recruited. Let me focus on the demons you must be aware of and protect against while you're sleeping, because this is where you're the most vulnerable. The incubus, mirror, and succubus. Incubus is a demon in male form. According to mythological, legendary traditions, lie with sleepers, especially women, in order to copulate with them in their sleep. The female counterpart is the succubus. Superstitious folks for centuries, they told of these incubi and succubi encounters. In fact, Genesis chapter 6 supports the credibility of these stories. Sleeping is the battleground you must not be ignorant of. It's within this realm you are the most vulnerable. Isaiah 21:11 said, "Watchmen, what of the night?" Why do you say, "Watchmen, what of the day?" You can attack in the daytime just like you can at evening. Except night, when you're sleeping, is where you're the most vulnerable of all. Popular horror films of demons entering people through their sleep may not only be popular, they could be a warning of coming demonic onslaught. In Matthew 1:20, and the angel appeared unto Joseph while he was sleeping and talked with him. If angels can talk to you in your dreams, and they can, is it not plausible demons can as well? After all, they're all angels, only these are evil ones. The metamorphs, shapeshifters, spirits through dreams, can actually change in a physical form. Driven by a desire to procreate, they molest both men and women, hating the human race because of our ability to procreate, which they cannot do. According to Charles Renee, these spiritual entities can and do live among us. When Pilate sat down at judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, and I quote, "Have nothing to do with that just man," talking about Jesus. "I've suffered many things in a dream because of him." Matthew 27:19. She said, "I suffered, I was hurt." The Bible said, gird up the loins of your mind. 1 Peter 1:13. The loins are the productive part of the body. The loins of the mind creates images, thoughts, and visions. However, when you're sleeping, your mind's at REM. You're not able to gird up those loins. The brain cells through 5 distinct phases during sleep, 1, 2, 3, 4, and rapid eye movement, or REM. REM sleep makes about 25% of your sleep cycle. The first occurs 70 to 90 minutes after you fall asleep. Because your sleep cycle repeats, you enter REM state over and over several times in the night. Your brain and body are energized and the dreams occur. Now, REM is supposed to be involved in the process of storing memories, learning, balances your moods, although the exact mechanisms we really don't have full comprehension. It's here that demons have their most advantage over you. And these are the times you must turn off your conscious. But your subconscious never turns off. Leaving recordings, television, other devices, studying, or while the things are not wise, because your mind focuses on something else, these messages go unprotected right into your subconscious without the filter of your conscious mind. So don't go to sleep with other things on. This twilight zone is where it's important to be baptized in Jesus' name, have a guardian angel, especially when you're sleeping. Now, when I say my bed comforts me, my couch will ease my complaint. You scare me with dreams. You terrify me with visions. That's Job 7:13. If you can't wake up from a nightmare, you may not be asleep. Mentally and physically, you're safe in your bed, but your soul has entered the darkness where even bravest of men dread. Better off running into demons in a spooky forest at night than asleep, vulnerable and helpless in your bed. Man, you're like a cocked rooster. You crowed a good bit in your time, but now you realize the axe of destiny is sharpened for your neck. You turn the volume of senseless and selfish activities to drown out that approaching specter of your fate, but you must sleep. Helpless, hopeless, and where demons can torment you, reminding you you may enter a place where there's no return. So I wish for you to have an open mind. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because this is going to be very shocking. These are more noble, Acts 17:11 records, than those of Thessalonica, could receive the word with readiness of mind and search the scriptures to see if they were so. God don't mind you searching. Yeshua, whom the world calls Jesus the Christ, said, search the scriptures. In them you think you have eternal life. And they are they that testify of me. St. John 5:39. Many cults worship the Incubus Succubus demon for going back 3,500 years before Christ. The Aztecs, the Burmese, the Syrians, American Indians, they all recognize these spirits. When people are asleep, vulnerable, helpless, they seduce and they destroy. In spite of Christian efforts, phenomenon is flourishing. Some even invoke the demon lovers as a deterrent to their soul. The popularity of human-demon erotic encounters is growing steadily. Now, widespread interest in copulation started really getting popular with the film Rosemary's Baby, a movie by Roman Polanski in 1968, where a loving couple moved in an apartment only to be surrounded by peculiar spiritual entities. Look what's going on. Films like Possession, the Witchcraft series, My Demon Lover, Incubus, The Twilight Saga, Dracula, True Blood, Lost Boys, The Entity. In the film The Entity, by the way, is a documentary account. You can see a woman getting attacked by an incubus. It's one of the most documented accounts we have in the world. So films, books, television series, and songs, what they do, they actually are like a catalyst. Satan doesn't want your body. It's very little use for him. Your spiritual body, the one that existed before God, created you in the physical, Jeremiah 1:5. That's the one he's after. With this control, you can conceive the spirit world, interacting with them just as easy as you can the physical. Many cases, sexual horrifying nature of succubus encounters actually go to metamorphos, the putting on of flesh. It's only a matter of time you're going to have an encounter. They told you dreams can come true, but they forgot to mention nightmares are dreams too. So I'll start with the mare. Nightmare, of English descent, is actually two words. A mare, that comes in the night, not the mare or the female horse. The first type of demon supposedly sits on the chest, suffocating or trying to. And the Old Testament stems word from the Hebrew, defining the English mare, nightmare. I'm going the realm of the nightmare, so pleasant dreams. The 19th century book, published by the Philosophy of Sleep, written by Robert McIntosh way back in 1830. This monstrous demon hag, squatting on the chest of sleeping people, mute, motionless, malignant, the incarnation of an evil spirit, the terrible weight crushing the breath out of the body. The fixed, deadly stare petrifies one of the horror, making breathing insufferable. Have you ever been asleep and can't catch your breath? It's just a demon. If you take my advice, I'll tell you in these programs how to get a guardian angel and to give you a helping hand to get rid of it. The first experience. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I quote these stories. I've had various experiences of sleep paralysis and night terrors. These entities make me quite apprehensive about going to bed. At first I thought they were simple nightmares. I suppose everyone has from time to time. However, I became a young adult. I see my bed covers pushed down into my face, making me unable to move or shout, and a female voice hissing in my ear bring me feelings of terror. I've awakened soaked with sweat, terrified with the voice of somewhat seductive, but scary tones of the entity. Once I saw an old woman looking at me through bed covers. She was gray and had a menacing grin. I stared, hitting the covers where the misty gray face was, and hitting it. My wife woke up, screamed saying, "I see the hag too." When I used to tell her about the experiences, she'd brush it off. "Ah, you got an overworked imagination." She said they're nightmares, that's all they are. A bad dream. But after seeing it, she became a firm believer. I think there's more to it than scientific explanation. It's part and physical of the supernatural. Our brains pick up more expansive signals when we're between sleep and awake state. No matter what scientists say, it's real. It happened to me. Robert's dilemma, and I quote, "I was 16, I've had encounters with terrifying demonic hags. With the years progressed, the entities would torment me. They made my life a living hell. I tried numerous remedies, from exorcism, potions, incantations by religious cults and well-established churches. None to any avail at all. The female demons would kneel on my chest, stare into my face, and slowly get nearer and nearer. I was completely terrified. They wore black cloaks and hoods, their faces like a witch. Evil generates right out of their bodies. When the hag would come, it'd surround me. Sometimes I'd be laying on my stomach, and the demoness would creep her hand on my back or my head, force my face, and hook her fingernails under my top teeth and pull my head back. Sometimes she'd bite, sitting on the bed, knocking on doors, calling my names, scaring the crap out of me. How can you explain this? How can counselors, psychologists, modern-day ministers, anyone in their right minds dismiss these encounters as being real? For those who have them and are suffering these night terrors and physical scars, they're not figments of your imagination. I wish skeptics would take these serious encounters seriously, perhaps demonic manifestations and efforts to explain them and remedies to stop them. This is a man and his wife's encounter. I quote him. "My wife grew up in a mid-sized town and lived an uneventful life. She went to college where we met and we fell in love. After graduation, we moved to a suburban neighborhood and we had a wonderful life. We're in love, happily married, both earn respectable incomes, we're not on drugs. Life was good until the encounter. My wife and I were sleeping in bed one evening. I felt my wife being attacked by something. I woke to find a shadow of a person, more like a female demon from hell, on top of her, choking her. I jumped out of bed, shared several French profanities, and I moved towards it, confronted the entity, and moved away into the wall. I turned to see my wife still choking and awoke her. She said she had a dream that she was being choked by a person on top of her. Normally you'd dismiss it, but how do two people have the simultaneous experience? This encounter greatly changed her personality. From a joyful, bubbly, outgoing person, she became withdrawn and moody. Our marriage suffered. Eventually we separated. She joined the military, perhaps thinking she could get away with the entity and leave her alone. However, later, she'd have these experiences where her roommate would wake her up and see a hag-looking entity choking her. Life was fine, this other one wrote, until Johanathan was accosted by a demon hag. So let me tell you his story. Late one Friday evening when I came home from a date, I didn't know evil eyes were watching. I took a quick shower, dried myself off and went to bed, but somehow my subconscious knew I was not alone. Shaking off the feeling, I climbed into bed and turned off the light. I felt the mattress sink if someone just climbed on top of it. Reluctantly, I opened my eyes and mortified this squatting old woman-like thing in bed with him. Fear caused me to be paralyzed. A hag was crawling up the bed on top of me and lowered herself onto me. Though the female entity was hideous, despite the disgust, I was aroused. My mind was spinning. Here was this disquieting hag with teeth like daggers, repulsive face, physical, foulness, rotten head, filling the nostrils with putrid smell, and yet at the same time aroused. He told himself, I can survive this ordeal, I just got to stay put, and think is satisfied. I wonder how many people had these encounters, he said. Are there any support groups? Are there any people that are not embarrassed enough to share their experiences with a dark side? My grades in school, another teenager wrote, were average. I was neither popular or unpopular. I had a fair amount of friends, a girlfriend, not really serious, but one I like to hang out with when I'm not with my buddies. His dad and my mom, they were middle class, promised me a car next year in my junior year of high school if I keep my grades up. It seemed like hours of copulation the entity from hell lasted. There's nothing for me to do but stay with us. At last, it was done. And then, satisfied, the nightmarish hag transformed into a beautiful young woman. She smelled like jasmine. Seductively, she took me by the hand. We astrally projected to a forest shrine. We continued lovemaking. He forgot about his body being frozen in the bed. The Bible said, remember thy Creator in the days of thy youth, lest the silver cord is severed. That's astral projection. These encountered him follow into adult life. He accepted his fate, giving up into the lust of the demoness. I can go on, but time is running out. I'll give you some more encounters. This is of the hag. This is of the mirror. Let me go into next week, the succubus and the incubus. They're real. They'll haunt you to the end of time. But I don't want to scare you necessarily, because there is a solution, a beautiful one, where you can lay down, David said, and my sleep was sweet unto me. So next time, this is Ken Small with another program, Into the Unknown. If you would like to help us tell kids, proceeds from all of these programs go to the Hugs Foundation, who helps destitute children as well as sex trafficked children both here and in the Philippines. So until then, may God bless you.
Those times when dogs howl and cats pick up their ears are the things you see in the shadows more than just shadows? Was it just a nightmare? Is your imagination playing tricks on you? Maybe it isn't. Knowing the difference can save your life or your soul. Pleasant